Hello, everybody. This is Noah and John, and we are from UrbanDigs, and we're going to be talking Manhattan today, Johnny. And we got a good one here. We got an old friend. Well, I'm not going to say old friend, but Stefani, I've known you a long time now. Stefani Berkin, president of Our New York, powerhouse broker, runs her tremendous team, runs Our New York, which is up to about 800 agents. Is that right, Stefani?
That's right. Growing daily, expanding in the moment.
Unbelievable. Very impressive. Appears regularly as an industry expert on the Today Show. I mean, you got a great resume, Stephanie, and we are going to tap your brain. You're seeing a lot of information funnel to the top about what's going on in the Manhattan market. So I'm going to come right at you and ask you, Stefani Berkin, please tell us what you're seeing in the Manhattan marketplace today.
I will. It's so nice to be here, Noah and John. I feel a lot of things about UrbanDigs, which I'll get into later. So I'm very, very happy and proud and honored to be here. The market's transacting. It's a little tough right now with high rates, high home prices, low inventory, high rental, but it is transacting. It's just challenging. And I'm finding that buyers are fragile. They'll really walk away for any reason, big or small. And if a property is not priced perfectly, and I will say price right and stage is really the money combination right now, that's what's going to get it done. I think turnkey, I think renovated, those products are selling faster, more efficiently, at a better price. And you really have to manage expectations. The industry is changing very quickly. There's a big shift in what's going on, not just guidelines and regulations, but how we're selling, how we're buying, how we're representing. So managing expectations up front is crucial. And it's not easy to find good inventory, but you can use that to your benefit on both sides, the low housing stock. You just have to do it right.
Interesting. So, Stephanie, you brought up some really key things that I think tie together, and I'd like to dive into that a little bit. Number one, you mentioned that buyer's a little fragile right now, and at the same time, we're in an evolving market. And what's really tricky, and I think a lot of agents, a lot of brokers are talking about this now, is this sudden need to really show and sort of prove their value, especially as a buyer's agent. I'm wondering if you could talk about a bit about that.
Yeah, it's a really good point, John. The truth is, because the industry is shifting in terms of the decoupling of commissions and the fact that sellers have the option at this point to pay or not pay the buyer's broker's representation, you as an agent have got to articulate your value to a buyer as to why it is crucial for them to utilize you and your services. And that needs to be a conversation. A lot of people took it for granted because the buyers didn't have to pay out of pocket for that cost. Now they may have to. They may not. It depends on how the deal is structured. And I will tell you that I am still very much encouraging my sellers to continue to compensate the buyer's representative to get us to a smooth transaction, because otherwise they'll take it off of the asking price. But for buyers right now, if they think they can go out unrepresented, you have to give them all of the reasons why and truly articulate your value and go through everything that we do. We understand that, great service is expensive, right? But you can make a detrimental mistake if you are unrepresented that could cost you a fortune. So for me, it's about communication. It's about building trust with your client. It's about transparency. It's about hand-holding and telling them, listen, this is what could potentially happen. You may need to pay me, you may not, but let's figure it out every step of the way. And we're seeing a lot more exclusivity from a documentation perspective with buyer representation that we used to just see on the seller's side. So you really have to be equipped and educate yourself as an agent and practice. Role play. I tell my agents all the time, pretend you have a buyer in front of you and role play how you are articulating your value to that client to make them walk away saying, I don't just want this person, I need this person in my corner.
Yeah, Stephanie, I absolutely love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I love the whole role play. It's an excellent exercise to do. We try to talk about it a lot, the reverse psychology, the flipping of the cap. And It's like, when you think about the best brokers, that are out there that are producing consistently and growing their business. There's characteristic traits. They're confident. They know how to message properly. They know how to read people properly. And it looks like they've been through the situation thousands of times. And that's how you have to do it. Is like, if I was a buyer and my broker talked to me this way, how would I react? If I was a seller, how would I react? And speaking of sellers, I would love to tap your brain on what you're seeing in terms of the mindset of the sell side and of the sellers out there today.
So those conversations are some of my toughest. And anecdotally, I can tell you as many stories as we have time for, where you have to have a very direct and a very difficult conversation about the pricing strategy. It's critical, because there is nothing more detrimental in this market than overpricing and chasing down the market. And sellers feel that their property is worth a certain amount. Sometimes they have data behind that. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they bought it for a certain number. They put in a certain amount of work, and A plus B equals C. And then they want a premium on top of that. And it's just not how it works. It is so important to go in there, having done your research. I am someone who I pride myself on being over prepared. I want to know any possible thing that can come to me. So before I walk into an exclusive pitch, I know everything that has traded, why it has traded, what has gone into contract, even though that's not particularly public, but it's important to have relationships with other brokers to get that information. And sometimes it takes sellers a minute to get there. I mean, transparently, I'm not always somebody's first broker. I'm their last. The last 2 deals I've done, I was the 3rd broker in. I mean, and we closed. Why? Because they had already tested the market. They got frustrated. They didn't want to continue with who they were using, which is okay. I can't blame either side. But I came in and I said, listen, this is what I do. I eat, sleep, and breathe this market. This is what your property is worth, and this is where we should price it. If we're not priced at market or slightly below, you're not going to get a lot of inquiries. You're not going to get a lot of foot traffic. You're not going to get the offers. You can try, but they're not going to come. And you have to have that conversation in terms of pricing. And simultaneously, sometimes you have to have a conversation with sellers about investing money in what may be a losing asset. I've had to do this twice in the past 8 months. I had to tell my sellers that we needed a contractor to come in to correct all of the fixes, and we had to stage because the property would not sell, and I wouldn't take the listing on without it being staged. And the combination, it's like that perfect recipe of pricing right in turnkey move-in condition, which is being staged, that will get the property to sell. And sometimes that means spending more money in a property that they're sort of losing. It's a losing asset, and you're asking them to invest money. But I'll give you, just if we have 2 seconds, a super quick, okay? Yeah. I was in a property earlier this morning. I was the 3rd broker on it. We priced it. We fixed it up. We staged it. I got it in contract in 9 days above the asking price. Okay. That was about 2 weeks ago. Today was the final walkthrough. All of the staging is out. Some of the owner's original items were back in because the buyers wanted some, like a couch here and there. And the buyer's broker came up to me and said, I just want to let you know that if my clients walked through this apartment in the condition that it is right now, the way that it looks right now, we would have walked in and we would have walked out. So why? Because when an apartment is empty, people are paying attention to all of the fixes and all the things that they don't like. That's what's being highlighted. When it's staged, they can see the whole thing. It feels moving. It's warm. You feel that emotional attachment to it. It feels done. And that's what's going to sell your property.
Yeah, I feel like that first 10 seconds is a make or break moment, right? And if you don't have that warm and fuzzy feeling in that first 10 seconds, it's a hard sell after that.
And residential purchases are emotional. It is really deeply emotion based. It's why I'm in this business, because I'm taking care of people in what's basically an aftershock of a life event. And if they don't feel connected to it emotionally, they're going to walk away.
Stephanie, I got a couple of questions. Staging. Could you give us a general idea of what cost is for staging?
So it really depends on, I choose stagers. I work with 3 or 4. They all vary in price, they all vary in aesthetic, and they all vary in feel and tone. It really depends on the size of the property. In the properties that I've done, it's been anywhere from about 12, 13, 14 grand, all the way up to about 25, 30. But what I can tell you is, regardless, they made that money back and then some.
Right. And that's a monthly thing, right? Because you're basically renting it for
So
the
you
month.
pay for the first 3 or 4 months. That is that
Okay.
payment. And then if you need to extend, then there's a prorated monthly.
Okay, so
payment.
that's the full payment. That's what it seems like. Sometimes I hear some really high staging costs.
It could be really high. I tend to move away from those companies because it's a really hard pill for my clients to swallow. And I think that there are a lot of staging companies that maybe aren't as well known. And if you walk into, I would tell an agent, if you walk into an apartment and it's staged and you like it, get the name of the stagers, because there are a lot of smaller companies out there that will be more price conscious and may be a better sell for your seller when they're not slapped with a $50,000 or $70,000, price.
Yeah, success hack. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, Noah, I know you got another follow-up, but I'm gonna let you finish. But I just have to say thank you for bringing this up, because I mean, I think that the concept of staging, it's not something that we talk about enough, and it really does. Yeah. Number one, tell the story of the apartment in a different way, and it's sort of, you're absolutely right, Stephanie. It sort of glides over those emotions where you walk in, you're like, all right, well, what's wrong with this place? You start seeing that warm environment. So, and I also want to say thank you again for sort of wrapping some pricing numbers around it, because I mean, Noah's right. Some of the numbers I've heard for staging are just astronomical. And then sometimes I hear some that are just like unbelievably cheap. So it's good to have sort of just some bookends about what to expect.
Some of them are. I just staged a 4,300 square foot property, fully staged, and I had a quote come in at 30 and I had a quote come in at 55. Same property, right. Same square footage. So
it's like a contractor. You get 2 contractors in, you're getting all over the spectrum.
Right. And so we know as agents, this is such a crucial tool that will help us sell the property, that will make us look better for our client, because we'll get better feedback, as opposed to an empty apartment where people are focusing on the issues that they don't like. And then we just have to constantly deliver bad news. But it's also difficult to say, I'm selling your property and now I'm asking you to spend 30 grand on top of everything else for some furniture and some art. And they're like, why? So you have to really take them through the process, understand the story. Why, when you go to a new development, do they take you to the sales? Do they take you to they show you the sales office? They show you a finished product before you walk through the empty apartment, because they want you to be able to visualize this. It's a very different feeling. I had, by the way, the same apartment that I was talking to, the buyers who walked in the kitchen. They were like, this backsplash is hideous. We didn't even notice it before. Right. Yeah. Because their attention didn't go to what they didn't like and what they wanted to fix. It went to a fully done, renovated, turnkey, move-in ready property.
Yeah, it's a lot of psychology in this. There's a lot of, you got to think, you got to read people, you got to think people, yes. Negotiation, the art of negotiation. I love it, by the way. I love it. One more question, and then John's got his question. On the sell side, are you seeing any desperate, panicked sellers that I need to liquidate, I need to trade, and it's a timely thing, or is there a lack of panic and desperate sellers out there right now?
I'm not seeing a ton of desperation.
Okay.
I am seeing people who are a little bit stuck to their price, a little reluctant to give up the sub 4% rate that they have on the property, before they want to go buy something now where they'll have to pay 7%. I'm not seeing a whole lot of desperation. I'm seeing, unless the property is a gut and needs a tremendous amount of work, and then it just becomes a monthly payment that it went from being a proud part of their diversified portfolio to now a nuisance, and they just want to let go of it. But I find that those estate sales, those full guts, my clients are personally not really all that attracted to right now. I find people are still a little bit allergic to doing work. I think it's tough for them to carry multiple properties. I think costs have just gone up post-pandemic. And so someone has to see real value in order to pull that.
Interesting.
Right. So, all right, Stephanie, I want to talk about the art of success here, because I think you've achieved it, number one, and number two, you sit in an amazing position in which you sit on top of our New York. You see deals coming from the buy side, you see deals coming from the sell side, you see what's happening on your own team, and you can see which agents are successful and which are not. And I'm curious, when you're looking at all of these things as they sort of piece themselves together, I'd love to understand, like, what are some of the behaviors? What's similar across the successful agents? What are they doing right, generally speaking, across the board?
It's a really good question, John. I find that my most successful agents are my agents who are nonstop working. They are just nonstop. They are working overtime. We're in this position in our industry where there's the service that's needed is physical. You have to run around. You have to know the inventory. You have to know what's trading. You have to know what's coming on the market. You have to know what's both on the market and off the market. So you have to really service the portfolio. You also have to manage their emotions. A lot of my clients are calling my agents, calling me once they've put their kids to sleep at night, and they can't first speak until 8, 9, 10 at night. They want to go see properties on weekends, on days off, on vacations. You have to make sure that you are constantly up to date also on what's going on from an industry perspective. How is the industry changing? What are the rules and regulations? What does this decoupling look like? What are the new exclusives look like? Everything that's going on in real time, there is always something to learn. There's always something to know. And my agents who are the most successful are the ones who are over-prepared, like I said, are constantly reading, updating, working, thinking creatively out of the box, and are positioning themselves as the agent. That is their brand. I find that the agents who are leaning on and relying solely on their company and their company's brand don't have as much to offer as the agents who say, I am here, I am looking at you, I am talking to you, you have me, you have my full attention, you are my priority, I will answer any questions that you have, I am available to you. This is how I can best service you and this property. I find that when you hide behind a larger brand, one, I feel like it's a little bit antiquated. And two, I feel like consumers are too smart and are realizing that if they want you, they better be getting you. I have heard a lot of frustrations about clients who think they're getting the number one player and then end up with the 10th person on the team. And it just doesn't lend itself to a trusting, successful, lucrative relationship, which is how you get the deal done. So especially for new agents, work on a team for free and watch and listen and hear and touch and feel everything that's going on. Go to open houses, see the data, understand, watch this YouTube, right? Go on the UrbanDigs YouTube and watch and listen, because this is how you learn what's going on in the market. This is how you present confidently to a client. You show your seasonality. You're able to give suggestions and recommendations and advice and guidance that they haven't heard before. And I just want to, if we have two seconds, I just want to really, I'm so grateful for what the two of you do. And in 2 deals of mine recently, your data and your website has secured the deal for me. On what I had a townhouse in Murray Hill that we were having a really tough time selling. I felt it was overpriced. The location was a little bit tough. And we got an offer, which was a very good, solid offer. And I brought it to my client, and she was a little uncomfortable with it. This was a place she'd been in for a long time. She's incredibly smart. She's very metric and numbers driven. And I went straight into UrbanDigs, and I went into the chart room, and I looked to see in Midtown, in townhouses, what was the median price per square foot? Where were things trading off of the asking price? What was the discount? What was the average days on market? And I put together a presentation for her with all of these metrics. So for me, it's not, you know, for me coming with data, it's I'm giving the personal touch and I'm tapping into her emotions and her frustrations, but I'm also giving her the actual black and white market data. And I said to her, the opening offer that we got is above the median price per square foot for all townhouses in Midtown East. Like, this is a win. I said, believe me, I'll get their number up. But I want you to understand that, like, if we're lower than where you think we should be, know that we're right in line. We're actually above where we should be. And I did the same thing. I had a property on the Lower East Side, and she bought it from the developer. She put in a little bit of work. She's taking a little bit of a hit on it. But the offer that we got, the opening offer, was right in line as per UrbanDigs, as per the entire chart that I generated and presentation that I sent over and then walked through. I said, I know you think this is low, and I understand that. I hear that, but it's not. From a market data perspective, it's not. And that really helps secure the deal. The data really strengthens the discussions that we have. And it leads to smarter, better decisions. And it leads.
And did you close those deals? Were those deals signed?
Yes, done. Done. And I tell all of my agents, use UrbanDigs, and for new agents, go in there and play around with it. Pretend you have a client. You could do any type of role play. Pretend you have a client who wants to make an offer on a 2-bedroom in Murray Hill, on the Upper East Side, on the Upper West Side, in Tribeca, in Soho. Where are you telling them to come in? What is trading in that area? How and why? Because emotions get involved. People sometimes think they know better. They want to trust you. They don't want to trust you. And the other thing that I'll say is, if you're a broker and you went into contract on a property and another broker calls you to get that information, share it. No one's broadcasting it. No one's writing a news report on what you went into contract for. I understand that God forbid the deal falls through, you want to have a little bit of leverage. But the secret sauce to this business and being successful is the relationships between brokers. That's what gets deals done. That's what wins biddings war. That is the secret sauce. So for me to be able to call up another broker and say, listen, what did yours just go into contract for? Because this is a massive comp for me. Or I'm bringing something to the market and where yours traded is really going to help me price more successfully. Or where yours traded is going to really help me put in a good offer. To be able to have that information is so valuable and so key. And I cannot understand when agents do not disclose that. So I would really encourage agents to be able to trust the other agents, share that information. We need to help each other to, 1, elevate our reputation, okay? And 2, get successful deals done. And then I said to the other broker, thank you so much. You just let me know what we're in contract for. I have a property that I'm bringing to market. I'm happy to show it to you before I bring it public to the market. Like, we help each other. It's, you know.
I love it.
I love that's a masterclass right there. I think we're just going to take that little snippet and we're going to broadcast it.
I mean,
everything you touched on, Stephanie, was so key. I mean, that's the idea, is there's so much data out there. It's available. You just have to take it and make it into a conversation. And the idea of role play, like, what are you going to do when you receive this information? Just as Noah said earlier, like, flip the script. Like, it's tremendously helpful to start thinking about it from the other side. So that's all I want to say about that. Thank you for the plug. But
I don't plug things I don't believe in. It's so true. That is the difference between an expert agent and not. That's the difference between an agent who gets the listing, secures the deals, has the closed transactions, and not. They have the data and the knowledge behind them to strengthen their case, which then helps them advise their client make a smarter, better investment.
Yeah, unbelievable. And again, I'm going to say thank you for the plug as well. I didn't ask for that plug, and I really appreciate you sharing the stories. It makes this project all worthwhile, and I'm glad you said it and not me, because if I said it, you know, they're gonna, hey, this guy's selling me subscriptions. This guy,
Right.
he's gonna.
No, I didn't get paid.
Honolulu.
This isn't a paid advertisement.
Live off
This is
subscriptions.
me telling you. No.
Thank you. I mean, honestly, we exist to help agents close deals. That is our mission. And every day, John and I remind ourselves when we're going through the tasks of that day and the corporate strategy decisions of where we're going to go, how can we help agents close more deals? So thank you for using the platform as it was designed to.
Thank you
And
for helping
Stephanie,
me close my deals.
I love it. It all takes one deal. I love it. Stephanie, thank you for your time. Success just oozes out of you. It just, I mean, I could see the confidence and the production that you're doing because of that confidence. And I love it. I hope that you're a model to other agents out there. And I hope other agents listening in, especially those young agents, learned a bunch of things from Stephanie today. I know you did. Our New York, president of Our New York, Stefani Berkin, thank you so much. That is John Walkup. I am Noah Rosenblatt. We are both with UrbanDigs, and we will catch you guys next time.